hip hop is one type of music that I listen to. I listen to a lot of stuff, but just generally speaking, there's a lot of great stuff happening in Arizona.
Yo, so sick, managed to mumble these words. The cannabis burns.
Underground hip hop, to me, it's real. It most of the time talks about, life and ways of looking at life, and is very metaphoric. It's it's lyrical in a sense that it's complex.
But they don't, and hope fades with the change of the weather. And together
you're an independent spirit as opposed to something off of the conveyor belt.
To these shackles and chains I've tackled and slain, it's still caged in the age of elaborative change. The pattern enslaved and stuck on this question of why. And in time I feel like the answer is.
Alright, what would you say like the biggest difference between underground and mainstream hip hop is?
What's good and bad? I don't know. Mainstream's what's ever fed down people's throat. Pop culture bullshit. Underground comes from the heart. It's got more soul.
Yeah, I think underground hip hop's got a lot more passion, a lot more heart. People care about what the MC is saying. Whereas, the mainstream hip hop is pretty much about a beat, cash related, things like that. Not really real. So that's why I like underground hip hop.
I would say that the biggest thing in mainstream hip hop right now is the whole gangster ideal, the whole materialistic ideals. Underground hip hop, is poetic. It has substance. To me, it's just more artistic in nature, whether it be the beats, the rhymes.
I think the thing that sets most underground, quote unquote, hip hop from mainstream hip hop just seems to be intent. You know what I mean? It's mostly about what they're trying to project to the audience. A lot of times, underground hip-hop has a tendency to be more personal, and mainstream hip-hop has a tendency to be more broad, and that's why it's mainstream music, you know what I mean? It's supposed to cover a larger base, where the underground artists, you have a tendency to be able to kind of section off and find exactly where your voice is through those artists.
Hatred is the basis of all types of altercation, so I'm concentrating, avoiding all types of confrontation. Came to the realizations that songs can teach a generation that they've been endangered, or that your best friend is a stranger leaving lacerations on the backs of stagnations. Had you waiting for the way that fire would take it. See, I'm loud and abrasive and use only powerful language. To the documentary evidence makes these abrasions painless. To raise the stakes in, my page is blazing, and you will not find me on your local radio rotation. Make some noise, y'all. We out.
There's not an outlet in terms of radio for local hip hop that much. There's some, but I would love to see a real indie hip hop station. That'd be amazing. I think that could really help cement things, because the big hip hop stations play a lot of the same, the kind of top 40 type hip hop. That's great for listeners. I know a lot of listeners want to hear that, but I also feel like when stations feature local stuff, they can always do more of that. I think stations could bring in local MCs who are as good as anybody that's getting played on radio.
My thoughts on TV and radio. I think it's all puppets. It's record companies and big executives. Pretty much just pulling puppet strings and telling what to buy and who to play. We live in a day and age where all radio stations are pretty much owned by Clear Channel.
Specific to Clear Channel itself, I believe that it's just like with anything else that's corporate. You know what I mean? I don't think the public interest is ever at the heart of a corporation. And I think that because a certain type of music plays into numbers, that most people couldn't give a crap less about what it is. You know what I mean? We just know that this sells, you know what I mean? And that's what we're gonna pump through you. And to be honest with you, that side of it's evil on one hand, because that's not letting artists express themselves for the benefit of expressing themselves, but rather us doing everything else. We're manufacturing goods essentially to you that you're force-fed at some point, you know what I mean? And I don't think being forced to listen to something is okay.
People say, Clear Channel sucks because they force-feed everybody the same, 15 songs on the radio all day long. And that's true, but the people aren't demanding that they quit that. People are just going with it. So if you want to hear more creative radio, you know, you should voice that concern. You should stop listening to crap radio if you want to hear creative radio. You gotta look in your backyard, look for artists that are doing stuff, you know. Start making mixes, start making podcasts. There are a ton of podcasts here in Phoenix. If people spend half the energy that they waste talking about how something sucks, doing something that they think doesn't suck, things would be with it.
This is something we need, and we bleed, and it's a feeling we speak. And don't pretend this ain't a game that we play. I see the quota displayed, and I'm okay that this flow won't get paid. Shit, as long as I'm alive and I eat, I have a roof when I sleep, I'll still be here writing bars to the beat. 16 fluid lace the verse to the track. Come on, you form and then crash, and get it back when the sunlight adapts. Part of my past is hidden rain from the sun. I managed laying it in one. It felt like hell until the damage was done. But for now, I'm just feeling it out. Trying to find that simple place that makes me whole. Simple, humble, and proud. I get down, but I get right back up. Cause feeling this distrust is what is leaving me stuck. What?
Say underground hip hop's problem is lack of support. You know, for a lot of people, this is something they want to do for a living. They want to, you know, they want to make money off of it. But the problem with underground hip hop is you're already at a disadvantage when you consider yourself an underground artist, because you're pretty much saying that you're in like a certain genre that's only listened to by a small amount of people.
The fans need to support more than anything. We can't do anything without the fans, so the fans have to get on board more than anybody. You know, us as MCs and artists, we can try to put out the best things we got possible, but if nobody's gonna follow that, then there's no way for it to get any bigger than it is.
When I became music editor, it was really just my one hope to increase the local angle even more. Because it's important. Phoenix New Times and Up on the Sun, our blog, I just want, when you think of Arizona music, that's where you go. You know, that's important to me. That's important, I think, for creating content that nobody else has. It comes down to really presenting yourself in a creative way, and creating something that's gonna make me sit up in my chair. You know, don't ask permission, just make your art and get your art to me. And as far as the New Times being too big, you know, I don't feel that way.
The hip hop is something that I do because I love. I do because I can't see myself not doing it. I think if people buy my stuff, if people support me, that's cool. But you know, I've never really been good at that. I've never really been good at shoving my stuff in people's faces. I don't really care if I ever make a living off of hip hop, because that's not what I got into the game for.
I mean, I think that the biggest help that an underground artist has is to utilize the tools that we're given day to day. You know what I mean? You have to be promoting yourself virally. Absolutely, that's a must these days. And to get out and make sure that you're not only involved in your own shows. You know what I mean? You have to get out there and be seen in other people's places and meet people. And it's because music is all about building relationships. As far as making a living off of my music, it's a tough road. It's a tough road to make to try to make a living off of music independently. But it's a fruitful road. You know what I mean? It's not impossible. It's not impossible. There are lots of independent artists that do nothing but make music. You know what I mean? And when I get to that point, like, it's gonna be a glorious day. You know what I mean? But in the meantime, it's something to look forward to. You know what I mean? And it's absolutely attainable.
Have you ever had a moment? Have you ever had a dream? Have you ever had a reason to experience things? Yo, it's hard, kid, master the art. Cause the sun don't shine when you after dark. Have you ever had a moment?